In this tutorial, let's go over how we can find the average rate of change of a function over some given interval. We know that we can do this by finding the slope of the secant line. So let's look at a practical example. Here we have a relationship between sound intensity and distance. So I'll read out our problem. The sound intensity I, measured in watts per square meter at point x meters away from a source with acoustic power P, is given by our function I is P over 4 pi x squared. And so we can start by finding the slope of the secant line passing through the points A and B of our interval. So to find the slope of the secant line, we can simply take the difference in function values over the range. Conceptually, this is a pretty simple problem, but let's make sure that our calculations are correct and double check our work. So we can open up a check math environment. So we can start writing out our formula for the slope of the secant line. This will be the ratio between the function values at points A and B. So we can write out point B minus the function at point A, and this will be over the difference between B and A, so B minus A. And now we can simplify this a little bit, do some factoring. We can factor out the P over 4 pi in the numerator. And then we're left with 1 over B squared minus 1 over A squared. Like this, and our denominator is the same. And so we see that checkmath has marked this as conditionally correct. This is important because we know that B cannot equal A, otherwise we'd have 0 in the denominator. So checkmath is just warning us to make sure that we know this, and we do. So we can continue. Now we can go ahead and write 1 over B squared minus 1 over A squared with a common denominator. B squared, and the common denominator will be B squared, or A squared, B squared. Yep. And then we will have the denominator. Again, this is conditionally correct because you have to make sure that we don't have 0 in the denominator. So next we can go and factor the A squared minus B squared in the numerator. Now we've already got a pretty long expression here, so to make math easier, we can simply hit Command Enter or Control Enter, and that'll copy down the previous line. And so now, rather than writing the whole expression out again, we can simply change the part that we want to change. So we can factor A squared minus B squared into A minus B times A plus B. So we still have this conditionally correct result because, again, we have to make sure that our denominator is not equal to 0. Here we have a multiplicative term as well as the sum or difference that we had before. And now we see that we have an A minus B in the numerator and a B minus A in the denominator. So if we factor out a negative from the B minus A, then we can cancel out the two A minus B's. So let's go ahead and do that again. I'll hit Command Enter to copy this line down. We can add the negative that we factor out, and then we can cancel out the two terms here. And by the way, as we're working, notice that checkmath is checking over our calculations, and see here, I haven't canceled out the B minus A in the denominator, and checkmath notes that this is incorrect. So if we correctly cancel this out, again, we are conditionally correct. All right, this is a sufficient answer. It's simplified. Now we can just go ahead and write a little written response to the question. So we'll write, this amount represents an average change in the sound intensity over the interval AB. And that is our final answer. So this completes our assignment.